Hello and welcome to this edition of Scott and Pop, or Pop and Scott, or whoever's talking baseball. Uh, Hopefully, I'll release this one on the right day. Last week, Dad, I had a heck of a time trying to get us out here on the right. I think I released it on Sunday instead of Monday. My friends were telling me, laughing at me. But we'll see what we can do this week.
I don't see it
Uh,
makes a whole lot of difference.
it doesn't really make much difference, no. Uh, But how was your first week of the year?
That's fine. Today's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday! That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I'm 78 today. So
That's right.
I'm
Shoot,
78, and tomorrow, me and your stepmom married 41 years.
yes. That's what I was about to say. I know today's your birthday. Tomorrow is the anniversary. I think you did it that way so you remember the anniversary.
Exactly. I didn't want to get in trouble.
That's right. Yeah. So, man, bad son, slip of mind, busy,
Right.
too much work.
Yeah, well, you worked today, you worked yesterday. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I don't
So,
really, my birthdays, ever since I've been an adult, haven't meant much to me. It's just, well, like my dad used to say, his birthdays didn't mean anything except the ones that had zeros in them.
right.
And he knew he was another 10 years.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, shoot, birthdays mean something to everybody. So let's see if we can have a good birthday day for you. And so anything in baseball related hit you this week?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk about Wander Franco and that situation. Um, it's kind of, it's like trying to follow some of the politics and the way people talk, and you have no idea what they're talking about. But they went to serve subpoenas on him in the Dominican Republic.
Right.
It was alleged that he had sexual encounters with at least one minor, maybe more. He could not be found at his home address in the Dominican Republic or at his mother's home. They didn't know where he was, so they went and got a warrant for him. They were going to arrest him because they figured that's the only. So they looked for him, and finally they found him, or he turned himself back in later on in the week, and they were bringing him in for sexual exploitation with minors, possible commercial sexual exploitation, and money laundering. That's all I could find out earlier. So then the other day I found out that he had been in jail, and then it was yesterday or the day before. Today's Sunday, so that was Friday. Friday, they let him out with the stipulation that he could leave the Dominican Republic once every 2 months, but he'd have to return for the rest of the time. He'd only be so many days he could be gone, but then he had to come back. And as far as I know, they haven't charged him with anything yet. So that's all I know. They arrested him because they couldn't find him to serve the subpoena. They put him in jail. They held him there. Then they decided to let him go, and so he's out in the Dominican Republic. He can leave the country once every 2 months for a specified amount of time. They didn't say. I mean, it's so it's still up in the air.
See a picture with him, his lawyer, and the investigator. Because I was telling my friend that, one of my friends, I was like, because I was worried when they couldn't find him.
They had done something.
I thought maybe they weren't going to find him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he's only 22 years old.
That part of the world, people disappear.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I was like, I was, and I would hope for after the Bauer incident that MLB and the fans will be tolerant until everything surfaces.
Exactly.
What comes up. We're so quick to say he's done it, and then when he was missing, everybody was like, "See," and it was like him and his lawyer were getting together to turn himself in or whatever. For way I read it.
Yeah, that was one of the things I had heard, that he was getting ready to turn himself in, and the police, the state police in the Dominican Republic said, "Well, why didn't he let us know? We wouldn't have been running around looking for him."
Right.
He could have called us and said, "Well, I'm gonna turn myself in Thursday," and we wouldn't have done it. We'd have waited for him.
Right. Well, I think they're just trying to get their ducks in a row before, because we got to remember we're thinking about due process in America, where there might not be the same process in Dominican. I don't know how they're legal.
Yeah, that's their laws are different than ours.
Right.
And the other thing is too, in the United States, it used to be you were presumed innocent until you were proven guilty, and now it's pretty much the other way around. As soon as somebody makes an accusation, you're automatically guilty, and then it's your job to prove that you're innocent, and that's what it's turned into. So anyway, that was the thing on that, and the Mets, they're not going out and signing these $5 billion players, but they picked up Harrison Bader, and he's a decent player. I mean, he's pretty.
If he stays healthy,
he's a good player.
Okay. Even with his last year with the Cardinals, he was okay. I just don't know. I guess they're picking him up for DH/outfield.
He wound up with Cincinnati last year. That's what
and he just he can play some good outfield too, but he's one of those jacked up dudes. I mean, he was another guy that was highly talented coming up through the minors. Hopefully we get, a guy that can produce and stay off the injury report. That'll be great.
And then they picked up yesterday, I think it was Sean Manaea, the 32-year-old pitcher.
Yeah, I think it was completed today, but yeah.
He last year he was with San Francisco.
Yeah, I saw he had like 35 games with 10 starts, and I always thought he was a starter, but I guess San Francisco used him a little bit of everything. It looks like we had a 4.44 ERA, which is not terrible, but it's not great either.
Well, he's one of the. I've never understood this terminology. He's called a spot starter. So if you come up to a game and you don't have anybody that you can start, he's on the spot. I guess that's what.
Yeah, well, you play when you get into the dog days and you play like 2 weeks and only have no days off, and you got to give your guys a rest. He's
a spot starter,
sixth starter.
They used to call it a spot starter. Now they call it a bullpen game.
Yeah, well. And I mean, when he comes there, he might be a starter, because the Mets are really lacking in starters right now. I mean, they're trying to build depth is what they're doing. So, and they're getting some left-handers. So we'll see.
Well, Seattle and the Giants pulled off a trade. Seattle traded Robbie Ray to the Giants. In return, they got Mitch Haniger and right-hander Anthony DeScalfani.
Mitch Haniger is moving around a lot.
He's in Seattle now.
I think he might have started out there. No, he started out in Colorado. But again, what are we seeing? We're seeing movement with pitchers. That's the thing right now is pitchers. Daddies, if you want your kids to get to the majors, you used to be a catcher, now it's be a pitcher.
Yeah.
Get them to throw as hard as they can.
Look, and when the boy's born, tie his right arm to his side and make him do everything left-handed.
Yeah.
If you really want him to get to the big leagues, let him be a left-handed pitcher.
Exactly. Or
a left-handed hitter, for that matter.
Yes.
Left-handed anything is. I mean, it was. I remember John Smoltz saying when he was with the Braves that he knew that his job every year. He and Maddox had to prove themselves, but Glavine didn't have to worry about it because he was left-handed.
Right.
He said they were always looking for left-handed people for the bullpen and that. So left-handers are, you know,
Really?
now if you want your child to be a golfer, you do the opposite. You want them to hit right-handed because most of the time there's a few good left-handed golfers, but not many. But that's beside the point. The other thing this week, and this could be significant for Houston, and that is Michael Brantley retired.
I didn't know that. Really, it feels like he's been playing forever in a
15
day.
years.
Okay, that's probably
15 years, and he's retiring because his children are at an age now where they're just starting into going into adolescence and that, and he wants to be home
more,
have a more presence at home than being on the road with the baseball team all the time. So he's retiring, and he played for 15 years, and he retired with a 297 average. I mean, so
yeah, he was at one time. He was when he was with Cleveland at that time.
He was on
the All-Star team. He was All-Star.
He was on the All-Star team and everything with Cleveland, and he was on the Cleveland team that lost to the Cubs when the Cubs finally won the first World Series.
Right. And then when he went to Houston, he was still a good ball player.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he had 2 stints with Houston. I mean, and that's where he got his ring at. But
he had good years with Houston.
Yeah, I don't. He is had a very good career. I mean, you got to watch what you're saying because this time of year, everybody's in Hall of Fame mode. And I know he's not a Hall of Famer, but
no, he's just a real good ball player.
He's a good ball player, and he should be celebrated for the career he had. That's for sure. 15 years is you play 15 years in any major league sport.
Yep,
you were good at what you were doing. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the longevity. 15 years. He was talking the other day and said it seemed like yesterday was the first year. And I was sitting there watching that and thinking to myself, yeah, I worked 42 years in manufacturing after I got out of the service. And I'm going, that 42 years went by like a rocket. I mean, I didn't think so at the time, but it went by like a rocket.
Right.
Now I'm 78 years old. I've been retired for, 13 years. So
yeah, we still haven't heard anything on the bigger players. I mean, here
again,
they're going to want them on. It's going to be.
They want the bag. They want the bag, and the teams don't want to give the bag. But
look at you talking youngin. Look at you talking youngin.
Oh yeah, well that's what I heard on TV the other day, and I said that's pretty cool. I said, they want the bag, meaning they want the bag of money. I assume.
Yes.
I've heard of bags of other stuff. I would rather.
Yeah.
When they say that, I figured it was a money. And I'm first there sitting there going, "What? What do they want the bag? The bag of what?" I mean,
that is the new.
And then and they were talking about the contract, so I said that's just the money. So I said, hey, I'm gonna start using that. That's gonna sound pretty good.
Yeah. I have a funny feeling we'll be into preseason for Bellinger and Snell and.
Well, you can look if you want. You can drive yourself crazy looking at all the rumors because that's all they are.
Yeah.
Until they sign with some. I mean, look at you and I. Go back and look at the shows we did when Ohtani was trying to, was going to sign. You and I both came up with stuff that we had seen and read or heard on a baseball program somewhere. Like I watch MLB all the time.
Right.
And we just repeated it because we're two old guys talking about baseball.
Yeah, I don't have any connection.
The stuff was bogus. I mean, because I looked at the rumors. Blake Snell, if I believe everything I've seen this week, is going to pitch for 14 teams this year. Because every other day he's going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Dylan Cease, I'm going to make a prediction right now. Right now, I'm going to make a prediction because then I know I'll be wrong. Dylan Cease will begin the regular season with the Chicago White Sox. He's not going to – they're asking for too much, I think.
Yeah, I know. Well, the SNY, which I follow on the socials, have the Mets talking to him about a trade right now. But I'm sure everybody –
I saw the Mets are trying. The Mets talked to the Atlanta talked to him, and they backed out. The Orioles are talking to him. The Yankees are talking to him. The Mets are talking to him. But from what I understand, I looked on the New York Yankee network thing the other day, and they said that right now they're waiting for the price to come down because they're asking for too much.
Right.
So this is my thought. I mean, if I were the White Sox, I'd bring him back. Now, the trading deadline this summer. Now you're going to have teams that are desperate.
Right.
You're going to have teams that are going to, the Cubs are going to say, we're one game out of first place. If we had one more starter, we'd be there. Then they're going to, people are going to sweeten the pot to get
as much as I love to see him. First off, he's not a number one pitcher or anything. He's like,
he used to be, but not now.
Yeah. His projection coming into the league, he's another one that had this high bar coming into the league, and he just hasn't reached the potential that everybody said he was going to have. But he's a solid 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not like throw him out with the trash. But he's going to add depth to somebody's lineup or pitching. And that's why I would like to see him in Baltimore, because I think Baltimore has more of a chance of doing something with him than.
Yeah, and the other pitcher that they talked, there were all kinds of rumors a month or so ago about being traded, was Corbin Burns of Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a thing in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and I haven't seen anything. So it looks to me like he might be, staying.
Well, the Mets did pick up Woodruff as well, but from the old Milwaukee guy. Because they just didn't get everybody's picking up. They're going to have a AAA team with 27 pitchers on it by the end of it.
The thing is, though, a lot of these pickups that we don't think, okay, that's nice. Sometimes you find a gem there, and a bullpen guy that, oh my goodness, I can bring him in the 6th inning and he just shuts the door,
right?
And sets my back end guys up. I mean, look at the Orioles last year. Nobody thought they were going to win 110 games because they didn't have any pitching.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, they got 3 guys that nobody ever paid any attention to are out there. I mean, stroking.
Right.
And so you just don't.
I hope Grayson Rodriguez comes out like he did in the second half.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. He had a poor first half, but if he comes out the second half, and the other,
they put him down and brought him back up. Yeah.
You made the comment last week about Atlanta. A lot of times, everything they touch turns into gold. Right. Well, you have to give credit to their front office and to the organization in general, and their coaching ability and training ability. There are certain teams that know how to coach people up and get the best out of them. And I don't care what sport you're talking about. It could be any sport. And they just know how to get the best out of people. And I'll give you an example. It's not even baseball. It's college football. The University of Iowa.
Yeah.
The University of Iowa, this year's offense, they couldn't have scored on Colonial Heights High School. That was how bad they were. But they won 10 games. And they went to a bowl game.
That's my alma mater of everybody.
He and his stepsister graduated from that. Let me tell you something. That man takes 2, 3, and a couple of 4-star players and wins 10 games a year. And sometimes, more often than not, plays in the championship for the Big Ten.
And he gets players drafted as well.
That he gets guys in especially tight ends and linebackers. He gets them into the big show. You got to give him credit. Now, some of the people in Iowa are ready to fire him, but wake up, people. But, that's just an example. Atlanta is like that. Atlanta is like, and I'll tell you who else is looking like that. Baltimore. Look at these kids in Baltimore. Those coaches and manager in Baltimore know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
They're still loaded in the minor leagues.
They've been projected to have the number 1 minor league system again this year, after last year, and they've managed to hang on to most of their, their pros. And the kid, what's his name, the number 1 prospect in all of baseball, he's supposed to come up and play the majors this year with them.
Jackson Holiday.
shortstop.
Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, Jackson Holiday. And this kid's supposed to come up, and he's supposed to be the next big deal.
I think him and Gunner might turn 21 together.
Yeah, you get him and Gunner and the catcher.
Adley Rushman.
You got Rushman. You got those three kids. Rushman's 25 or 4 or something like that. He's young too. So you got these three guys. You can build a heck of a team around three prospects like that. Now, when the time comes, somebody's going to have to come off some money.
Yeah.
And Baltimore might not be able to do that. But you got 3 great prospects there, and the sky's the limit. And that's why they need to get one more starter to ensure, because let's face it, they are in a very tough division.
Yes.
So the worst team in that division last year was Boston, and they had a winning record.
Right.
Or 500, one or the other, but they were there, and that was the worst team.
You almost have to win 100 to win that division.
To win that division, and you got to win almost 100 to get in the playoffs in that division. So I'm interested to see exactly how the Orioles handle this, because they've done so well. They've been shown a lot of intelligence, and they've taken their time and gotten these kids groomed. And I'm just waiting to see. I'm afraid that they're a little skittish about giving up some of their prospects, and sometimes you just have to. Yeah. The Yankees, I don't know how they got anybody left, but they seem to have. But I think Baltimore's going to have to give up a few people if they want to get that real good starting pitcher. Unless, now here's the other thing I heard from a couple of my Baltimore buddies that got family that live in that area, and they go up there with them and go to ball games. They said that, what's his name? The guy that pitched for the Cubs last year.
Stroman,
yeah, that Boston and Baltimore are talking to him. Now, he's not a number one, but he would definitely help the rotation.
Yeah, he would, and he would. There's times where he looks like a number one. He's a little bit. He gets a little excited out there when he's pitching. I liked him with the Mets when he was there. Yeah, so looking at next season, I mean, we think Baltimore needs a pitcher. Yankees probably in that division.
They need a pitcher.
They need pitching, definitely.
Boston needs pitching.
Boston needs a little bit of everything. I think they made some positive moves, though. They get rid of some money to make way to pick up some players.
Yeah.
To sign players at least, but I don't know who's hitting the free agency next year, and I think it looks like some teams are setting up for that next year. I'm looking at what the Rays, whatever the Rays, they just seem to plug and play.
Well, everybody's saying the Rays are with this problem with Wander Franco and Glass now going to the Dodgers, that they're going to take a step back, and they just might. But I wouldn't bet on it. Every year, everybody says, "Oh, the Rays, they're done. They're not going to do anything this year," and there they are fighting for the pennant every year. Here's another organization that knows how to do it. They know how to do it.
Yeah, and the team, because of that, they play with a little swagger, even though they only get 19 people to the ballpark. They have a little swagger, so I'm still interested. We're another week closer. I think we're 5 weeks away. Last time I looked, for pitchers and catchers.
Yeah, it's middle of February.
Yeah, so I'm just starting to gear up for that, and I'm not much on watching preseason games, but I'm interested in this this minor league thing they got going on. I need to look into that a little bit more, and then I like the news. I like to read about what players are doing, what is the movement. Once preseason starts, you'll start seeing more players moving again because, to fill out rosters.
Well, see, that's why I'm saying a person like like Cease, if he pitches now, if the White Sox keep him, and then at the trade deadline they might get something really good for him because somebody really needs a starter, like say the Yankees or Baltimore. But if they keep him and he stinks, now they got a problem.
Right. Or the other problem is they're close. The more teams make the playoffs now. We talked about it last year during the season.
The White Sox are not any team. The White Sox have been underperforming for the last 10 years.
They are. They have been. It's like, when do you tear it all down and start over?
Start all over again. I mean, that's like they're going to do in Washington. The only reason Ron Rivera is not getting fired today is because his birthday too. So they're going to fire. They're going to wait till tomorrow to fire him. But I mean, here's the other thing. You asked me last week about wishing for what I would like for this coming season and all that.
Right.
Now, I know we've got maybe 2-3 million viewers. So I'm going to appeal to one. You dude that owns the Washington Nationals. 3 words. I've got 3 words for you. Sell the team. Because we can't do anything. The Nationals cannot do anything till you sell the team. We get another owner in there. And it doesn't matter whether he keeps the same people in charge or changes everything out. But then we'll have an owner. Players are not going to come to Washington unless they're desperate and they can't play anywhere else.
Right.
They're not going to. There's no you have to have stability. This team's been for sale theoretically for over 2 years. And you keep putting things on hold and you won't sell the team. Unless you sell the team, I'm just going to have to sit there and watch them lose every night. And thank you, Lord, for Baltimore. I mean, because I watch the Orioles. But I mean, come on. Yeah, that's my team. That's the team I like to root for.
Right. Yeah.
And,
and I mean, me being a Mets fan, the Nationals that was our team we went to watch for me, So I always have a kind of a soft spot, but it's I've been removed from there for 10 years now. So this will be my 10th year removed from there.
Well, now now you root for the Winston-Salem Wanderers.
We have the Dash. They're called the Dash. And that's a White Sox team.
Yeah. Maybe that's where all the players are.
I don't know.
I mean, I shouldn't badmouth the White Sox, but golly, guys, if you know anything about baseball, for years they've been saying, "Oh, they got it now. They got this team now. They're going to be ready to roll now." And guess what? They didn't roll. I mean, every year they came up short. I mean, it's like watching the Chargers in the National Football League. Every year, this team, look at the talent. And every year they come up short. For 30 years they've come up short, and that doesn't matter who the quarterback is or anything; they just do. So there's just teams in every sport that do that. I'm not an NBA fan, but I understand the Los Angeles Clippers or somebody like that. The other team in LA that team always has a world of talent, and they always come up short. I mean, it's like that in every league. And in baseball, the White Sox have been doing that for years because. I mean, they had some monster teams in Chicago 10, 15 years ago, and everybody thought including me. And they never really materialized. It never really worked. And I haven't, I mean, just a few years ago, they were in that game, the Field of Dreams game.
Right.
They played the Yankees, and Anderson hit the walk-off home run into the cornfield. I mean, it's
well, I mean, they picked up all those monsters from the Cuban League, and and great ball players, but it's hard to get these international players and translate their game to the major league. They try to put it on a level of what minor league is their play in, And it's tough to do. I mean, the majors are the majors. It's the best of the best. That's why I'm like, hey, let's everybody pump the brakes, including the Dodgers, on Yamamoto until he does something.
Sure. Yeah, you
You
can't.
know, I mean, that's
Yeah. I
who
mean, it's
cares
just
what he did in
you
Japan?
can't
Really?
predict. After last year, you came close because you picked Philadelphia and Houston, but you know, close is only good in horseshoes and hand grenades.
That's right.
So, I
I,
mean,
you know,
Texas and Arizona. Oh, really? I mean, but
until you do it in the best league in the world, that's
yeah,
when it matters.
yeah.
That's why I can't believe the money they gave him, but somebody was going to give it to him. And I hope it works out for the young man. Don't get me wrong, but
No, okay. I root in baseball. I root against the Yankees. I'll root for every team that plays the Yankees because I just, I'm one of those people that don't like the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
But I last year I was rooting for Garrett Cole. I was rooting for him because this man has been pitching his rear end off for years and never won a Cy Young, which I think is criminal. So last year, I said, look, dude, after his first 3 or 4 games, I said, I'm pulling for him like crazy because I want him to win the Cy. He deserved the Cy Young before, I believe. I think he's pitched well enough to win it before. And when he won it last year, I was happy for him because, he got what he deserved. And I rooted for him the whole way. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago about there are some fans that will be happy when a star on the other team gets hurt.
Yeah.
So they don't have to play against them. And that doesn't matter which sport. And I can't stand that. Because if I can't beat your best, then I don't deserve to win.
And I want to see the best.
Exactly.
I love the sport.
If I was going to, at 4:30 today, the Cowboy Network is on again, and they're playing Washington. Now, this is how desperate the National Football League is. They flexed the Washington game to 4:30 because they were playing the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys have to win to lock up the second seed and all that. That's fine. It'll be over by the first quarter. But when I watch the game, I want to see Dak Prescott. I don't want to see the backup guy. I want to see CeeDee Lamb. I don't want to see the backup guy. Now, after they're ahead by 6 touchdowns in the first half, then they can put in the other guys. But, these fans that go to these games and pay that money, how much money they has to pay, and then the stars sit. Wow. I mean, I can understand why teams do it because, it's the overall picture, but still.
Yeah. The game for Dallas is huge.
Yeah. Because
they got 2 or 4 seeds.
Well, they got to win it. They win it. They're the number 2 seed. If the Eagles lose, it won't matter.
Right. They play at the same time
and the Eagles are horrible now. I mean, they're just going, they've lost their, whatever they had last year, it ain't there this year. So anyway, that's beside the point. But I like to watch the best players. When I was a kid, the Yankees beat my Dodgers a lot. and I saw Mickey Mantle, and Yogi Berra and Hank Bauer and Tony Kubek was a Rookie of the Year in 1957. When I was 11 years old, played for the Yankees, and Kubek, I saw him play in Richmond for the Richmond Virginians when they were the Yankee farm team. So I never liked the team, but you can dislike the team and still like the players.
Right.
Like I root against Dallas like crazy, and I do. But Dak Prescott, by all accounts I've seen, is one of the nicest young men on the planet. He just seems like a really nice young man. And so I would sit there sometimes just cringe listening to these people on TV badmouth the poor guy all the time. Like it was, I said there's 11 guys on offense and you're blaming it on one. I mean, come on. So,
in baseball, there's certain, I'm a Mets fan, but Chipper Jones. I mean, it's like even last year it was fun watching what the Braves, like what Matt Olson was doing with the Braves. I mean, and Acuna stealing bases. It's just fun to watch that. I want to see the best players be the best.
Chipper Jones and the Mets, folks. that rivalry, forget Atlanta and the Mets, when Chipper was in New York, you can't tell me that
The Larry chant started
those
it.
New York fans didn't have fun screaming and hollering and booing him.
That's where the Larry chant started.
Yeah, calling him. You can't tell me that the Mets fans were not having fun and enjoying themselves doing it. You can't.
Right.
So those things are important.
And he had his best games against the Mets.
He would
killed
go
him.
up there, and they'd be calling him Larry, Larry, and then boom, he did a home run, and he trotted around the base smiling.
So I mean, that's what makes space. That's what makes sports fun. You got to have you got to have a black hat to have a white hat. So
yeah, exactly. And it's just like a buddy of mine when I was a kid. He like me was a Dodger fan. He liked the Dodgers too. And I was talking about how great, Willie Mays was and all that. He came over to my house one day when the All-Star game was on, and we watched. And Willie Mays was out there, and Tank Aaron, and Mickey Mantle, and everybody. It was just fabulous. And he said, "I love Willie Mays, except when he plays the Dodgers." I said, "There you go, you go." It's just like you and I talk about Juan Soto. We love Juan Soto. And we're going to root for Juan Soto, but now he's with the Yankees, so it's going to be hard to root for him because he's with the Yankees.
Yes, it's going to be difficult. I'll be down, like checking to see how he's doing, but man, very difficult on that one. But let's end it on that one this week, Dad. I think we had
there's not much
great chat.
There's kind of a dead period because there's no action. I mean, there's a lot of these minor deals that might pay off later on, but you never know.
Right. And I mean, we've good chat. I think reminiscing and just chatting it up. So till next time, like, share, tell a friend, and subscribe if you haven't. And thanks for watching. And we'll see you.